Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Drum Talk. Today we have a very interesting fellow. His name is Erik Ron, and I've actually worked with Erik Ron on a couple projects, interestingly enough. However, Erik Ron has been doing some projects of his own. He's been working with Set It Off, Siler, and most recently Icy Stars. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that project because, there's an interesting balance of electronic drums and acoustic drums. And what can you tell us about that balance and how you had to deal with that when you work with the band?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, hey guys, I'm stoked to be here with y'all. I think especially with Icy Stars, it's so much, electronic drums mixed in with acoustic drums. So it was really an interesting balance to try to get everything to blend and make sure that there, wasn't a huge volume difference and width difference, and so it's definitely a challenge to get everything to sound, nice and full without being too synthetic.
Yeah. Did you have any issues with trying to balance sort of the low end of the multiple kick drums that are happening at the same time, or did you kind of do some sort of tactic where you're favoring the electronic kick at times and you're favoring the acoustic kick at other times? How do you kind of work with those two
Yeah,
realms?
I'd say, well, the electronic kicks usually have so much more low end and so much more of that, like, you know, 20 to 60 hertz, and really that whole 808 boom thing, and really just trying to get those trap kicks to blend nicely with acoustic kicks. And really, with those songs, I wanted, when they were both going at the same time, I wanted an equal balance. And then during verses or during certain electronic parts, I wanted the kicks to really, and then on the electronic side, to really like shine. And so I think we definitely did a balance, and definitely had to maybe take off a little low end at times on the electronic parts, and then just really trying to fatten up the rock drums when we needed to.
Great, great.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how you go about when you actually track the drums? Are you going for more of a finished sound to tape as you record, doing any processing in, or do you kind of leave the mixing and processing for a later period in time when you can go and mess with it later?
I like to do a lot of EQ to tape. I
Okay,
like to
cool.
make sure. So on the Icy Stars album in particular, we did a kick in and a kick out. I usually have a sub kick, that Yamaha sub kick mic. Really, it's a drum. It's like a speaker that's inverted,
Yeah.
and so that really helps capture a lot of that punchy low end. And so I love blending that thing, and I love taking a little bit of, like, what I hate most about kick drums is that basketball sound, that, like, when you put it down, that like 200 to 300 hertz. So I like to EQ a lot of that out. And then I go easy on compression when it comes to printing. I like to do that after the fact. But EQ, I definitely like to get the things I don't like, and it's almost more subtractive to me than additive for printing actual EQ and drum
Okay.
tone.
Okay. Do you find yourself augmenting any extra samples in when you get to the mixing process at all?
Yeah, once we get to mixing, I like to blend samples with the real sounds, but a lot of the real sounds are definitely still there. I
Very
think
cool.
that's important. Even if it's on certain rolls, to automate them at certain times, or just certain fills to have that nice real sound with like something thick that supplements it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's very similar to how I work. I'm curious though, some of the dynamic processing that I do on my drum mixes are a lot of combinations of compressing, limiting, and clipping. And I'm curious, do you find yourself clipping drums at all, or is that something that's sort of new to you, or have you been doing that?
Yeah, in terms of clipping, actually, on the Set It Off stuff that I just did, I do, part of my drum chain is I have parallel compression, and it's like kind of like a drum crush. And so on one of the songs in particular, I really wanted a saturated vibe without over compressing. I didn't want it to pump necessarily. So I actually did use some clipping, and I saturated that crush tone to really, and it kind of added a width to it without necessarily you hearing the peaks and valleys. So I think that was a really crucial time, and I guess some people could call it like a Fall Out Boy sound, where it's just a little bit more distorted overall, kind of, I guess it's almost lo-fi in a way, but to me it really thickened it up, and it just added an extra level of depth to the drums without having to overcompress.
That's awesome. And for any of you guys out there watching this and you're just now getting into drum clipping or drum dynamic processing in general, be sure to check out DF Clip, our newest plugin, which is a multi-band clipper and has a built-in tone tilt EQ that you can kind of make your drums go brighter or warmer just with one knob. And I'm curious to see how that works out for you, because I know we just sent that copy over to you, and let us know how it turns out once you give it a try.
Yeah, I'm stoked. In fact, I mean, on the rest, I haven't finished the Set It Off or Icy Stars stuff yet, and so I'm excited to try it on it and see what it takes.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, man, and thanks for talking to us about drums. Hopefully we'll have you on here in the next coming weeks, and we'll catch up with you and see how your progress went with the Icy Stars and the Set It Off projects.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Eric.